There's two stories which I think are interesting from GB News. One is that 450 migrants crossed the channel on Saturday, and the other is that Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg reveals, first of all, that he understands why the Conservatives lost the general election. He said, "We made promises about migration which we didn't keep. We made promises about tax, and tax went up. And we didn't govern well." And he's right about all three. In the case of migration, I think the approach to migration, to managing migration, was wrong from the beginning. And threatening somebody who already has nothing to lose is a pointless threat. And wasting so much money on the Rwanda plan is a pointless plan, particularly when Rwanda is judged by the senior court in the country to be unsafe. And so far, there's GB News and other platforms who still advocate the Rwanda option have said nothing about the 13 refugees who were killed at gunpoint by the Rwandans in 2018. No report has ever emerged about that atrocity, and yet the British government claimed in some sort of filibustering absurdity, wasting time in Parliament, that Rwanda was a safe country. Now, also, Jacob Rees-Mogg reveals that his 16-year-old son has received hate mail and threatening letters after the election defeat. That is unforgivable. Utterly unforgivable. And he points out, quite rightly, said to write to a 16-year-old is just loathsome. It's not my son's fault that I have the political views that I do, and it's cowardly to write to him. If you don't agree with me, then you should get in touch with me. Put your name to the bottom of it. Absolutely. The one thing that I like about Jacob Rees-Mogg is that he is very straightforward. I don't like the way he cuts people off in the middle of a debate. That seems childish. But he is straightforward about what he does, and he is, I think, hugely entertaining and significantly more affable and interesting than Nigel Farage. But Farage himself is very good, makes very good telly. These two, they're not professional journalists, but they have charisma and they capture attention. And charisma, as I pointed out on many an occasion, doesn't mean I approve of them. It simply means they have this spirit, which means it's almost impossible to take your eyes off them. And there are many people, good and bad, who are charismatic. This gift of being watchable, this gift of holding an audience, is extraordinary to see in action. And what I find so depressing is how many of these people who have that gift are then relegated to the sidelines. And people who don't have that gift, like Lee Anderson, Nadine Dorries, Suella Braverman, to a certain extent, I would say Keir Starmer. These people somehow or other bubble to the top, and you think, well, why do people ignore them? It's because of the lack of charisma. And you can teach this, but these people have to pay attention. So Liz Truss has a lot of natural gifts that would make her interesting, but she doesn't listen. Now, a person who had no charisma and turned it round is Mrs. Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. Look at the old footage and the old pictures of Margaret Thatcher, utterly overlookable. And look at what she became under tuition and taking advice and practicing apparently humming lessons to lower her voice and keeping eye contact. steely eye contact. She was utterly, utterly brilliant at it. But it was all learnt. It wasn't something she naturally had. Ronald Reagan naturally had it, partly because he was an actor and had been trained as an actor, so maybe some of that he didn't learn, but I suspect it was there. Gorbachev had it. Putin has it. Believe me, Putin has it. Even in the fridge, you can't take your eyes off him. Was it the ice? You can't. It's impossible. And it is remarkable. Another person in the news fairly recently, not Liz Truss, but Kwasi Kwarteng, definitely had or has charisma. He also has intellect, and I find it astonishing that somebody who was so gifted could be so waylaid and misled by the lure of power and by the control of utter twits. And we come back to Jacob Rees-Mogg and to the honesty, because Jacob Rees-Mogg, broadly speaking, is not dishonest. He may be a little evasive when it comes to the truth, and he may be a little wayward in his ideologies, but he is not a dishonest or an impolite man. And I find that engaging and attractive. And I would like to see James O'Brien and Rees-Mogg together. I think they would be a very interesting combination, partly because their background is very similar, and partly because they both have an honesty about them, which I think would make an engaging clash. There is no doubt there would be a clash, but there is essentially an honesty and a directness. And we need more of that.